In this week's episode of the Red Delta Project podcast, we're going to be looking at 4 subliminal myths and misunderstandings about fitness that permeate our fitness culture that hold you back while causing a lot of stress to your mind, body, and lifestyle. Hello there, my name is Matt Schifferly, an author, inventor, and founder of the Red Delta Project, which is your resource for simple and efficient diet and exercise habits to not only help you get better results, but ensure that your healthy habits enhance your quality of life rather than compromise it. So today we're taking a look at these 4 big myths. These are things that are so ingrained in our fitness culture, they're almost subliminal. And we've almost come to accept them as like, well, yeah, that's the way it works. That's truthful, isn't it? And when we look at it, we're like, no, that's not the way it actually works. That's not reality. And when we peel it back and we look underneath, we're going to find the truth that's actually going to be a lot less stressful, more liberating, and get you better results. So the first myth is one I've talked about in the past. It's worth rehashing again. It's in my first book, Fitness Independence. This is the myth of the aesthetic demand. The aesthetic demand myth is that we can use diet, but mostly exercise, in a reliable way to change and address the aesthetic appeal of the human body. In other words, using exercise to look good naked, right? And this is everywhere around us. It is exercise to look this way, and exercise this muscle to get this shape, and exercise to get this kind of a body, and so on. But the reality is this is all largely hype and mumbo jumbo, and it's not really true. That's not to say that your body's not going to change its appearance due to exercise. Of course it is. I mean, people are like, Matt, come on, what are you talking about? People look different from exercising all the time. Yes, what I'm saying is that it's as reliable as we think it is. Think about it this way. You can take 100 people, give them all a push-up program, and the aesthetic differences from one person to the next during that program is going to vary greatly. Half the people aren't going to look any different at all. Some people are going to look bigger in the chest. Some people might look bigger in the arms. Some people's arms might look bigger. Some people's arms might look smaller. Some people might improve muscle tone. Some people won't improve muscle tone at all. The aesthetic change in their body will be vary greatly, and many people won't look different at all. And this causes a lot of confusion and frustration. It's like, what? I'm doing this. I want to get a bigger chest. Why isn't this working? The reason is because it did work. And people are like, I didn't grow my chest. I didn't grow my shoulders. And it's not supposed to do that. And the reason is because this idea of an aesthetic demand is something we made up, because what really exists is a functional demand. You take those 100 people, you put them on a push-up program, every single person is going to become more proficient at push-ups. Guaranteed 100% success rate. If they practice push-ups on a regular basis, 100% guaranteed. Very quickly too. Within a week or two, they're going to be stronger at push-ups. Guaranteed. Now, the degree of change in that will be different, naturally. But everybody improves their functional ability with whatever training they're using. It's absolutely a sure thing. But the aesthetic adaptation is all over the place and very much in doubt. And I know this isn't what you want to hear. I know people don't like to recognize this, because a big driver for a lot of people in exercising is they want to look better. They want to improve the aesthetics of their physique. So it's not the most popular opinion for me to come out and say, yeah, it doesn't really work that way. But here's the good news. I promise this is going to be a lot better than you ever thought it would be. The reason is because when we're following after a false lead, then chances are we're going to be frustrated by it. And even those who do get some measure of success often have it fleeting, or it's not in the way they want it. So we're chasing after something we cannot have to a great measure. And that's always going to be disappointing and frustrating, and it's hard to be motivated to put in the work for that. But here's the good news. Your ability to functionally adapt is guaranteed. That is 100%. You stick with anything, you'll become more proficient at it. But there is some aesthetic difference that's going to be there. And it's not always what we think it's going to be. It's not always abs or bigger biceps. It's oftentimes in how we use our body, like visually, our body language, our posture, how we move when we walk. As a friend of mine once said, who used to be a bodybuilder, who was now doing things like kettlebells and stuff. And I was like, don't you kind of miss the bodybuilding and going after the aesthetic demand. And he looked great. He was amazing. He's like, Matt, a body that works very well will always look good. He's like, but chances are, if you go after just the aesthetics, then you may not look very good. It's like you're on the weight machine all day long, pumping up your biceps hunched over, and you walk around with a hunched over posture, you're going to look like crap no matter how big your biceps are. It's like if you go after the performance progression and try to perform as well as possible, you're going to look great in your own special way. Not everybody's going to look like a bodybuilder. Not everybody's going to look like a dancer. Not everybody's going to look like anybody else. He's like, but when you aesthetically or functionally improve what you can do, you're going to look as good as you can get in your own way. So that's the first lesson, is not that you can't aesthetically improve things, but if you want to look your best, focus on your functional performance. Be stronger, be faster, be able to do what you do better, rather than chasing down these rabbit holes and false leads of do this to build abs and do this to get broader shoulders and do all these sorts of marketing tactics that say you can control how your body looks through exercise. Instead, perform better, improve what you can do, and your body's going to look as good as ever. All right, so that's the first myth. Second myth is the normalcy of dieting and working out. This one was inspired by an article that I was reading by this guy who did research in these supposed blue zones. Blue zones are parts of the world where people are living the longest. There's more people per population living past 100. And not only are they living longer, but their quality of life into their golden years is vastly superior. It's not like they're in nursing homes and they can't get out of a chair. They're actually living very good qualities of life. One of the things that the author pointed out was that people who live in these blue zones, they don't work out. They're not going to the gym. And it gave me pause, and I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? I bet they're not following a diet either. They're not keto. They're not paleo. They're not intermittent fasting kind of things all the time. They're not on the latest trends. And then I thought to myself, you know what? Thinking in my own life, a lot of the healthiest people I've ever known, they don't work out either, nor are they on a diet. And yet here, especially in the West, the knee-jerk reaction is if you're like, I'm going to get in shape, the first thing we turn to is what diet do I follow? And sign me up for the gym because I got to go work out. And the reality around the world is that that's not how it's done. The leanest, healthiest people and the most functionally capable, and even to a degree, the best looking people, aren't dieting and they're not working out. That's not to say that following a particular diet or going to the gym is a bad thing, but it does mean that it's not a necessary thing. And that's important to recognize because diets and working out don't fit most people. Most people, that's why people don't stick to them. It's like, why can't people go work out all the time? Why people can't? Because they suck. It doesn't fit most people's lives. It doesn't create alignment for their mind, body, and lifestyle. And understanding that diets and working out are artificial to a degree gives you the freedom to say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something else instead. So what is the truth to follow there? Well, like a lot of people in the blue zone point us to, is that it's not about dieting. It's about healthy eating habits. As we call it here at the Red Delta Project, healthy eating. Healthy eating habits are ways we use food. It's not eat this, don't eat that. It's our healthy relationship with food and how we use it in a healthy way. And of course, there's the standards, drink lots of water, don't overconsume, don't overeat, not a lot of alcohol, but healthy eating habits. They're not on a diet, they're just eating healthy. And at the same time, they're not working out, but they're active. The people in the blue zones are very, very active. They walk everywhere. They're riding their bikes. They engage in physically active hobbies like Tai Chi and martial arts and all the dancing and stuff. So they're not working out, but they're being physically active to get an activity done. And I believe that's the best way to go for a lot of people is don't diet, have healthy eating habits. And no need to work out. Have active hobbies. Go for bike rides. Go hiking. Like my calisthenics. I don't do calisthenics to work out. I do it to become better at calisthenics. It's like a game. It's a sport. Same thing with my bike riding. So you don't need to diet. You don't need to work out. Healthy eating habits and being physically active, chances are that's all you're ever going to need. So the third myth is this one that experts know all the answers and they're going to tell them all to you. And when I mention this to a lot of people, it kind of, the knee-jerk reaction with that is people are like, oh yeah, they're all on steroids and they got plastic surgery and they're faking it all up and they're all juiced to the gills, but they say it's about this protein shake. Yeah, that happens, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying that when experts and authorities, they say, okay, you want to build muscle and stuff, this is what I do, and this is the various things I recommend. I'm saying that's not the whole picture, not because they're trying to be misleading, but because they don't even know why they're successful. They don't have all of the answers because they're not even aware of them yet, myself included. I'll give you an example in a second. The reason for this is because science now is understanding, psychology is getting to the point where we're understanding that a lot of our behaviors and overall life situation is due to the feelings and emotional beliefs within our subconscious. Subconscious. So our decisions around food, decisions around activity, decisions and things that we do that ultimately impact our health and fitness are governed by the subconscious. Now, what does that mean? That means that if you ask me for my advice, I can only give you what I'm conscious of, what I know. But a lot of the things that are deeply rooted in my subconscious that are really responsible for my results, I don't know them yet. And it takes a lot of work to drudge those things up out of the subconscious so that I'm aware of them. Case in point, my calves. My calves are one of the more notable muscle groups that I have in my entire body. And people will say, what do you do for that? I'm like, well, here's my calf exercise. I just do calf raises, and I'm a biker and I raced mountain bikes and stuff. Those were always my answers because that's what I was conscious of. But over the past month or so, I came to the realization, you know what I probably have my calves for? It's because when I was younger, like around 12, I had a friend who was really good at jumping. And I asked him, why are you so good at jumping? He said, it's all in the toes, Matt. And he showed me how to do like calf raises and stuff. And he's like, here's what you do is you do everything on the balls of your feet. You walk on the balls of your feet, you skip, you dance, you stand when we're in Taekwondo. He's like, you bounce on the balls of your feet, everything on the balls of your feet. And I was so obsessed with it that I just did balls of the foot all the time. And I created a strong mind-muscle connection with my calves. So for the next 20 years, everything was calves. My calves became the dominant muscle group in my legs for everything that I did. But I wasn't conscious of it. I was just kind of mentally thinking about it, but I wasn't very conscious of it. So when my calves were getting bigger and people were asking me about it, I'm like, dude, I just do everything you do. I just use my legs however everyone else does. Not recognizing that my use of my calves was probably way different than everyone else's because it was a subconscious behavior, like a habit. So that's why I'm saying, like, a lot of times when we're getting answers, like, we got to dredge up a lot of stuff in our subconscious. Here's the liberating stuff. Here's the good news, is that a lot of the answers you need to understand aren't going to be readily available for you. And success isn't something you can just follow step by step like instructions. It's something that is going to take a lot of trial and error and a lot of introspection, because that's where the real answers are. It doesn't matter what we're necessarily conscious of right now. I could tell you everything there is to know about junk food and say, okay, yeah, having a super mega size meal over at the local fast food joint isn't going to help you get to your weight loss goals or whatever. However, how you feel subconsciously about things is in charge. So if we're at like the same restaurant and they're like, oh yeah, would you like to upgrade to a mega super duper huge massive size for only 3 more cents? How we feel in those situations is everything. If I'm like, oh God, no, that's gross. I can't eat 15 patties on a burger. But if you look at that and you're like, dude, that'd be freaking sweet. Only 3 more cents, sign me up. How you felt about that, that's what's really in charge. Not what we know about saturated fat, not what we know about calories and stuff like that. How we feel about that decision, that's the thing that's in charge. So having a very introspective approach with yourself and drudging up these things from the subconscious is going to give you way more power and information than any book you can read. Also, on the other side of that is the experts who you can get the most information from are those who have recognized their beliefs, who have done the work to dredge up those subconscious beliefs. And they're like, I used to not be able to build muscle, but then I realized I had these beliefs about building muscle and fitness and stuff, and I exposed them, and here's now what I believe. Those are the folks you really want to pay attention to. Not the ones who are like, well, in the lab, the mice built more muscle when they followed this rep protocol, and so you should do that. No, we need to understand what's going on under the hood, because that's where the real answers lie. All right, and the fourth myth that we have is, again, going on with the experts, is the belief that the experts or the celebrities and whatever have the physique and the results they have because of their current habits. So this happens all the time. People ask, like, what is your workout program? What is your diet like? And they say, well, this is what I'm doing. I'm like, great, if I do that, I'll get those kinds of results. No, it's not quite how it works, because every one of us is not the product of what we are currently doing. I don't have the strength and health and muscle and everything that I have because of my current workout routine. Every one of us on earth is the product of our entire lifetime of habits. The leg strength and abilities that I have now, that's partially from when I started riding and skiing when I was a kid. When I grew up in Cambridge, Vermont, on the side of a mountain. So everywhere we went was either up or down. I spent a lot of time in the woods. That still has an influential impact over my current habits and beliefs and subconscious and health and wellness. Much more so than what kind of mountain bike I ride right now, or what's my push-up routine like, and so on. And this is super important to understand, because we often think, well, if so-and-so's got a body like that because of their current diet, we try it and then we don't get that kind of result. We think something's wrong. It's like, no, you're coming to the table with a different set of circumstances. When you start a diet or your workout or any type of activity, it's not like you can hit a reset button with your body and you start from zero, from scratch, and everything you've done in your life is at zero. If you take you and I, right, let's say we're both going to start rock climbing together. Your habits from your life up till now will have a big impact over your ability to pick up rock climbing versus mine. You could be like, oh yeah, I was working in dance and theater, and I was always doing this work on such and so. I developed this amazing grip strength, whatever it is. I'm like, dude, you're going to pick this up way faster than I am. And you're like, yeah, but you work out, you're on a pull-up bar all the time. It's like, yeah, but not that. Would happen all the time in Taekwondo. People would come in and they'd be like killing people. It's just kicking all over the place. Amazing as white belts. But come to find out, it's like, oh, they were in cheerleading, they were in gymnastics, they were in soccer or something. So their ability to use their legs was amazing. Meanwhile, you got guys like me who can barely put the right foot forward when they're walking. And it's like, why can't I get this as quickly? It's not the current program. It's everything up till now that's having a big impact. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're screwed if you're like, dude, I've been sitting on the couch all my life. You're fine. Just recognize that you are the product of all of these years up till now, and you're going to move forward from now. You only can move forward. You can't go backwards and redo it, but give yourself permission to progress and start at your own place, progress at your own pace, because you're not going to match someone else's abilities, because we've got different histories. You've got different influences and subconscious beliefs behind it. So we're all dealing with a different set of circumstances and tools. And that's going to give you permission to say, this is where I am. I'm going to do things at my own pace and get what I can my own way. So there you go. 4 myths. The aesthetic demand, the normalcy of diets and working out, the idea that experts know all the answers, and of course, that current diet and exercise habits are what are most important. If you have questions, reddeltaproject@gmail.com. Don't forget, check out the books I've got for you over at Amazon. Paperback and Kindle versions are available of Fitness Independence, Smart Bodyweight Training, and of course, Bodyweight Training for Cyclists. Thanks again to everybody, of course, for leaving reviews on Apple, Stitcher, and Google Play. It really helps us out, and it helps out other people find the podcast as well. So it's good karma for you in addition. I'll talk to you guys next week. Till then, be fit, live free.